What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of New Era Prep Nightly here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm your host, Christian Proscia. For those that somehow don't know me and stumbled across this podcast, basically all you need to know is I'm your mom's favorite photographer. We're back with another episode of New Era Prep Nightly. Like I said, I'm joined here with my amazing producer slash DJ, Mr. Steven Lukey Pookie Luker. That's your stage name and your full name all in one. Hope everybody's having a great Wednesday afternoon. Before we get into this episode, I just want to preface and say this is going to be a little bit of a quicker episode. I do have a lot of homework to get accomplished, and my grandparents are getting a little hungry, so gotta chef up for them. And by that I mean I'm booting up Uber Eats as soon as we get off of this show. But you know what it means when it's a Wednesday here on New Era Prep Nightly. High school football is around the corner, starting tomorrow afternoon, week 5 of the regular season of the FHSA high school football season will be kicking off and underway, both literally and figuratively, might I add, Stephen. So, without further ado, let's blow through some of these top matchups. We're going to talk a little bit game of the week. We're going to talk a little bit score predictions. You know how it works. So, first one I want to touch on is Westminster versus Heritage Del Rey. I think Heritage Del Rey has opened the season with a very hot 4-1 record, that's right, 4-1. 4-1 record on the year. The Stallions look hot. So I think they're going to continue rolling hot against a very good Westminster team, but I like Heritage. Treasure Coast versus West Boca on Friday night. TC is still not in the win column, and West Boca has not been in the win column yet. I think West Boca is going to do what they do best. I like West Boca coming out of this one. Unfortunately for the guys up in the 772, my good friend Mike Fabian, wing T offenses aren't really working in this modern age of football. There may need to be some come to Jesus conversations about what the future of that offense looks like, but give me West Boca. Archbishop McCarthy versus Somerset Canyons. Give me the set on a bounce back game. Archbishop is a very good football team. They're a very good football team. Somerset had that unfortunate upset loss to Inlet Grove. Not a lot of people predicted that, myself included. Unfortunately for the set, they have not closed out a game yet. Every time they get a lead, they give it all back and they don't know how to finish. Eventually, that was going to bite them. So, unfortunate loss to Inlet Grove, but I do think, like I said about Treasure Coast, a lot of come to Jesus conversations had to have happened over the past couple days because that was a winnable game for them. And I think Somerset comes out firing and give me the set. Clewiston versus Cardinal Newman. Not really much to say outside of Newman is going to dominate and control this game from the opening kickoff. I'm expecting another big rushing performance from the one and only 3-star Louisville commit, Mr. Jalen Brown, alongside the plethora of other weapons on this Newman team. Jensen Beach versus Benjamin. This is easily going to be one of the better matchups of the week. Top end Jensen Beach team, top of the 772 leaderboards, taking on Benjamin, who unfortunately is a lot better of a team than their record shows. I actually like Benjamin in this game. Benjamin usually does well against Jensen, so I think that Benjamin is going to pull the upset and defend home field territory. Give me the Benjamin Buccaneers. Excuse me, guys. Palm Beach Gardens versus Pahokee. I think this is going to be one of the more even matchups of the week. I like Pahokee coming in to Gardens on this matchup. I do want to give a shout out to Palm Beach Gardens linebacker Joseph Sykes, who class of 2027 is leading their class, not the graduating class, but the class as far as where you stand on state rankings. He is leading. He's leading 6A, I believe, in tackles as a true sophomore. That is very impressive. Joe is a baller. I've had the opportunity of watching him play over the past year and then also throughout the 7-on-7 circuit. I don't know anybody more dedicated to being in the weight room than Joe Sykes. That kid really thought he would wake me up at 4:45 on a Saturday morning at a 7-on-7 tournament to work out with him. I rolled back over and said multiple choice words to him, Stephen. I was not waking up at 4:45 in the morning, but Joe, all of your hard work is paying off. Keep doing what you're doing because what you're doing is great. Jupiter Christian versus Boca Christian. I like Jupiter Christian coming into this one. Coach Baz coming off of and his squad coming off of a big win last week. Give me JCS. Dwyer versus Glade Central. Dwyer getting in the win column for the first time this season over a little bit of a quote-unquote rivalry game against Royal Palm. Glade Central taking on Moorhaven last week, dominating that game, taking a real or another rivalry win, not a real one. That's rude. Taking another rivalry win over Moorhaven in dominant fashion. Give me the red hot hand of the guys from the Muck. Give me Glade Central. Right now, Glade Central is easily, in my opinion, the top team in the Muck area, which is going to cause for a very good Muck Bowl at the end of this season. So stay tuned for that because we will be at the Muck Bowl. Always one of the more storied rivalries in South Florida. I put the Muck Bowl, which is Pahokee versus Glade Central, in the same tier as like a Miami Central versus Chaminade Madonna or multiple other rivalries that are escaping me right now. The Kings Benjamin rivalry, love that one. The Welly Cup, that one specific to my area, Wellington versus Palm Beach Central. That one reigns supreme throughout every sport. There's always tensions flying during Wellington versus Central, but I think easily the best Palm Beach County matchup or rivalry matchup is the Muck Bowl. LaBelle versus Glades Day, not Angelina LaBelle, just LaBelle High. I got Glades Day coming out of this one. Royal Palm versus Forest Hill. I think this is going to be a very good game. I always say that Forest Hill is one of the more underrated programs in the county. They always slip people's minds, but they make sure that you remember them after the game. But I like Royal Palm getting back in the win column following a close loss against Dwyer. John I. Leonard versus Suncoast. I think John I. is going to go out, dominate, and get their second win of the season. I really like what Coach Van Ness is doing out at John I. I think that John I. is going to be just fine. Park Vista versus Boynton High. I like Park Vista coming off of a big win against Palm Beach Lakes. That game got postponed to the second half of that game got postponed due to Monday because of a little thing called Mother Nature. Unfortunately, it was raining a lot this weekend. I had the luxury of sitting in Palm Beach Central's gym for 2.5 hours, Stephen, during a rain delay. Other people, not so lucky. They got their games moved back. It's a double-edged sword. Both are good options, but Vista was winning that game, came back, and finished winning that game. I think Vista's in part of the easier part of their schedule, and I think they're going to start racking up some wins. If you remember from the beginning of the season, I did say that Park Vista was my sleeper team, possibly going 7-3 this year. Let's hope that I was pretty dang close to it. We'll see, Stephen. North Broward Prep versus St. Andrews. St. Andrews is going through a little bit of a tough time right now, but I really like what Coach Robertson and co are doing out there. I will never bet against my good friends at St. Andrews. But I think unbiasedly, I think that North Broward Prep is going to win this game. Is going to win this game. Olympic Heights versus Garcia. I think this is going to be another Caleb Butler air raid. For Garcia, give me Garcia high. I think him and Zion Williamson or Zion Vilma, not Zion Williamson. He is not a 7-foot basketball player. Caleb and Zion Vilma, easily one of the better quarterback receiver duos in South Florida, and I think they're going to continue balling out. Fort Pierce Central versus Inlet Grove. Give me Fort Pierce Central. Despite Inlet coming off of the upset win over Somerset, Fort Pierce Central has also been red hot to start the year. I really like what Fort Pierce Central is doing out there. Now it's getting juicy. Santa Lucia's versus Seminole Ridge. Seminole Ridge is a program that is a lot better than what their record shows. I say it all the time. They have such a hard schedule. In my opinion, Ridge might have one of the harder schedules in the county. And basically every game has gone down to the wire for them. So I'm really excited to see what the guys out at Ridge are going to do when they're going to be able to knock down that first win of the season. Santa Lucia's coming off of a loss against Palm Beach Central. I think that Santa's going to get back in the win column with this game. I think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people would immediately put on paper, and that's not anything outside of people like to sleep on Seminole Ridge and what they've got going on there. I think Ridge is going to be just fine in that game, but I do think Santa's going to come out swinging. I would like to see Santa maybe run a little more athletic sets, subbing in some wildcats and some sweeps and motions, because what they were doing against Somerset was working and they weren't doing that against Palm Beach Central. So maybe go back to that. St. John Paul versus Somerset Prep. I think that game is going to be a St. John Paul dominated matchup. I saw Somerset Prep last week against my alma mater, the Kings Academy Lions. Needless to say, give me St. John Paul. Do with that information what you want based off of my analysis, but give me St. John Paul. Atlantic versus the First Academy up in Orlando, 4-0 versus 4-0, really 5-0 versus 5-0. This matchup is going to be every weekend. It seems like it's going to be it's Atlantic Super Bowl. As far as you got to stay hot, keep winning. We spoke a little with Coach Murray and with Teddy Hoffman, future Lou Groza award-winning kicker and Ray Guy award-winning punter, after his dominant special teams masterclass. Definitely not because he's an elite receiver, only because he's a good kicker. But coming into this game, they've got eyes on them now. Atlantic is now a top 50 program in the country after a dominating B2A victory over Blanche Ely. So give me Atlantic coming out of this game. Then finally, the New Era Prep game of the week is, drumroll, Steven, Wellington versus Spanish River. I think that this is going to be a very good game. Yeah, get that drum roll. Wellington versus Spanish River. I know I just said it, but Wellington versus River is going to be a very competitive matchup. I think that Blake Wallace from Spanish River is going to go and he's going to do his thing. And I'm really excited to see what's going to come out of this game. Wellington High has a very underrated offense. Quarterback Jonathan Paul has been lighting it up this year. Really like what I've seen out of him and his supporting cast. But I think the River Boys are in due time needing to get back into that win column following 2 consecutive losses to Palm Beach Central and Jupiter, 2 of the top-end programs in this area, Stephen. But I like the River Boys coming out of this one, and I do think it's going to be a closer game than a lot of people think due to Wellington's scrappiness. I think Wellington is a fighting team. They don't like the narrative of Wellington gets rolled over, schedule Wellington for homecoming. They're not about that anymore. So I think that Coach Pryor and his staff have done a great job at Wellington. Really like what I've seen out of them. They're going to only continue to do great things. As far as bye weeks for Palm Beach County, I had to make sure that I was right on a couple of those. If it looked like I was texting, I was definitely pulling up max preps just to be sure. But bye weeks for this week include Palm Beach Central, Kings Academy, Lake Worth, Palm Beach Lakes, Boca High, and Jupiter. If I am missing anybody on their bye week, which I don't think I am, shoot me a DM because it would be really awkward if I forgot you, and I'm sorry. Taking a trip up to the 772, we talked a little bit. We had a couple 772 Palm Beach County matchups between Fort Pierce Central and Inlet Grove and Jensen Beach Wellington. So we've talked about them already. or not Jensen Beach, Wellington, Jensen Beach, Benjamin. Excuse me, guys. Heritage, not American Heritage Delray, not American Heritage Plantation, just Heritage, according to Max Preps, versus Vero Beach, coming off of their first win. I think Vero gets back into the win column. I really like what Vero has been doing. If you missed it, my good friend Mike Fabian and I talked a little bit about what Vero's got to do in order to get back into their winning ways of the past. I think they definitely had a statement win over Centennial last week. And if you missed that interview with me and Mike, go check it out. It was last Wednesday's episode of New Era Prep Nightly. Go show love. As always, follow Fabian Digital Media. Keep promoting my boy. He's doing some great work. We talked a little bit about his ventures into his professional life too on the show. For any aspiring content creators, he's pretty much one of the standards of what you want to be when you grow up. He's basically every job that you want, he does. So make sure everybody still shows the boy love because he is a great dude and he works his tail off. Anyway, without the glazing, no more glazing, Steven. Tradition Prep versus John Carroll. Give me John Carroll coming out of this game. Centennial versus Bayside. I think Centennial gets back into the win column following their, like I said earlier, loss to Vero. Give me Centen. As far as bye weeks go, Fort Pierce Westwood is on bye. Port St. Lucie is also on bye. Okeechobee is on bye. Just like the Backstreet Boys, bye, bye, bye. Yep. Y'all can't see Steven. He is now dying laughing at that. I'm proud of myself. I came up with that on the spot, guys. That one was pretty funny. I'm proud of myself. Taking a trip down to the 954 and Mr. 305, not Pitbull Stadium. Them boys took an L last week. In my opinion, state game of the week. I think this is the best game in the state. I don't care where you're from. You could be Tallahassee all the way down to Key West. We have two big national ramifications matchups between Miami Norland and Chaminade Madonna and Miami Central versus Heritage Plantation. Talent all over the board at both of these games. We're going to have people at both of these games. I personally will be at Chaminade versus Norland, so let's talk about it. Chaminade, rough start to the beginning of their season, was not what most people were expecting out of the Nod boys. Miami Norland took an L in their kickoff classic matchup against Armwood in the Broward Showcase, or not Broward Showcase, in the other name of the tournament. The two tournaments were back-to-back weeks. I forgot the name of the first one. But Norland versus Chaminade, I think, has the potential to be easily one of the better matchups we're going to see in the state, possibly country, all year. Really love both of these teams and the star power around them. Chaminade, wide receiver Denarius Gray and Kobe Howard have been killing it. The Auburn commit, Denarius Gray, and Penn State commit, Kobe Howard, respectively. Norland features so much talent. Quarterback EJ Yapor, who is the Dade County all career yards leader. Going into this year, he broke that record midway through last year. So every time he steps on a football field, that record gets broken. So when it's all said and done, he is statistically one of the best to ever do it. Running back Zaquan Wright, banger. Kid's a stud. Loved watching him at Palm Beach Central. Love watching him at Miami Norland. Wide receiver Jade Card, yes, the FAU commit, has been killing it. Get to watch him play again. Really excited for that. So, without that being said and done, I like Norland coming into this game. I think they've been a little more consistent to start the season. I think Norland is going to take this game by the reins. And I didn't even mention the four-star edge rusher brothers, the Mandrill and the Desir brothers. There we go. The Desir brothers, who are both edge rusher commits to the University of Central Florida in Gus Malzahn's very high-powered 2025 recruiting class. Give me Norland. Miami Central versus Heritage Plantation, I think, is another shootout of a game. From Heritage, Diabell is looking as good as ever. The 2026 Texas commit is on fire to start the beginning of his junior season. Love watching Dia play. In my opinion, my professional opinion, Diabell is the best quarterback in South Florida. And then when you have such a talented big three on that offense, including running back Byron Lewis, who's set to make his commitment this Sunday afternoon or Saturday afternoon, the 21st. Stay tuned. I'm very intrigued. I believe his top four are Georgia, Bama, Miami, and somebody else. I can pull that up in a second while I'm talking. And then wide receiver Malachi Tony, who we're going to talk about a little bit later. Has been on fire as well. Love watching the Dia to Mali connection. Also, by the way, it was Florida State, Georgia, the U, and Wisconsin. Those are Byron Lewis's top schools. September 21st, the top 10 running back in the nation will make his commitment. So stay tuned for that. Miami Central, love watching them play as well. Beckham Kritza, the Penn State commit quarterback, one of the tallest people I have ever stood next to. Nashawn Montgomery, killing it. Tony Williams, killing it. Zeke Marcellin, killing it. Love watching the Rock Boys play. I think in a nail biter, give me Miami Central defending Traz Powell, defending the Mecca. St. Thomas Aquinas versus MacArthur. I like St. Thomas. I think that they've just been handling business since the Bishop Gorman loss. Not really much to say outside of give me St. Thomas. Booker T versus Lakeland. Give me Booker T against a very good Lakeland squad. Northwestern, the West versus Columbus, coming off of um, the West coming off of a nail biter loss to Miami Norland last week. Columbus, one of the better programs in South Florida. I think another very good game this week. Give me the West, though. Edison versus Pace. Give me Monsignor Pace. Hollandale versus Coral Glades. Give me Hollandale. Monarch versus Fort Lauderdale. Give me Monarch. Blanche Ely versus Piper. I think Ely is going to get back in the win column, and I think they're running that score up. Coconut Creek versus Cardinal Gibbons. Give me Coconut Creek. Western versus Taravella. Give me Western. Cypress Bay versus Stranahan. I like Cypress Bay coming out of this one. And True North Classical Academy versus Everglades Prep. Give me True North Classical, who just got their quarterback back. Mr. Zachary Katz is back at True North after a little stint at Chaminade Madonna. Not really getting into that. Definitely not talking about midseason transfer moves because that is just a can of worms that I am not getting into because honestly, I don't even know the full details on this, but it is legal. All I know is it is legal. So, for everybody that says, oh, you can't transfer midseason, if you look in the FHSAA guidelines, it is legal. It is legal, Stephen. You can send your kid to a different college preparatory, private, or charter school before the first 20 days of the school year end. So there we have it. That's a little bit of midseason transfer news because we did see three midseason transfers, including Cats wide receiver Jabari Brady leaving Chaminade Madonna, going back to Monarch High, and Wade and Charles going from Palm Beach Central back to Somerset Canyons. But there we have it, everybody. That's a little bit of transfer talk. There's a little bit of the schedule for this week. We're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back after the DJ Steven dance break, we're going to talk about why I said we were going to talk about Malachi Tony a little bit later. Later's coming. And we're going to talk about the U because guess what? It's my show. We're talking about it. But everybody stay tuned. We will be back in just a few moments. I'm here so I don't get fined. Apparently, that's what Steven's googling up right now. One of my favorite clips on the internet. But like Marshawn Lynch, the break went a little bit longer. I wanted a little bit of a snack break. I saw Steven was going to town on some of those pumpkin spice flavored nuts. So do with that information what you will, ladies. Um, they're pumpkin spice scented. But welcome back to the bottom of the hour here on New Era Prep Nightly on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. I'm your host, Christian Proscia. We spoke about it a little bit earlier. I said we would be talking about Malachi Tony this afternoon. And for most people who aren't familiar with Palm Beach or familiar with South Florida high school sports, you maybe don't know who Mr. Malachi Tony is. So let me tell you. Malachi Tony is one of the top receivers in the nation from American Heritage Plantation. The 5'11" receiver is a 4-star recruit. Pretty much every offer that if Stephen, if you closed your eyes and you thought about your favorite school, your dream school, whatever it is, Mally has an offer from them, which is more than deserved. The kid is a baller. In 2023, Mally committed to the right choice, the University of Miami. If he's not going FAU, he's going to the U. That's basically what the saying for everybody's recruiting got to be. Remember, Stephen, it's either this or it's this. Don't forget it. This is Christian's household. This is how I'm raising my future children to be. You're either an owl or you're a cane. But in August of 2023, Mally committed to the U. After a strong start of his junior season, yesterday it was announced that Malachi Tony would be foregoing his senior season, would be reclassifying from the class of 2026 to the class of 2025. Now, with the updated metrics, because Rivals finally got all that stuff up, Mally is now a top 200 recruit in the nation, coming in at number 190, the number 35 recruit in the state, number 32nd national wide receiver, and the 12th receiver from Florida. And his addition to Miami's recruiting class for the class of 2025 now brings the U to the number 11 class in all of college football. The reason I'm talking about this is because Mally is not only just reclassing, but he's going up for spring ball in January. So technically, at the end of this season, when Mally goes from Plantation to Coral Gables, which is only an hour drive, but still, he is foregoing 3 semesters of high school. That's pretty impressive because, like we spoke about a little earlier with Teddy on Monday, where he spoke about how he planned from early days in eighth, ninth grade to prepare to go up early only by a semester. Mally is now a whole year and another semester. That's practically unheard of. So, congratulations, Mally, on getting to go to college earlier, buddy. That's more than impressive work, and it's more than deserved because, like I said, kid is an absolute baller, and I firmly don't believe that there are 12 receivers in the state that are actually better than Malachi Tony. That's just my take, though. What Malachi is bringing to the U, first off, is receiver depth because losing Xavier Restrepo, hopefully to the NFL at the end of the season, is going to be a huge loss for the U. I believe they will be returning Jacoby George and Isaiah Horton as alongside JoJo Trader, who's a true freshman, getting a lot of play time. I don't even think JoJo's going to redshirt at this point because he's getting a lot of game time. So I say screw it. Just keep balling, buddy. But being able to return those guys and then bring in 2 very talented receivers in Miami's recruiting class is only going to help the U come back even more. Because what Mario and his staff don't want is to have 2 kind of down years, or have a down year in Mario's first year, a bowl appearance, hopefully a national championship in year 3, and then lose everybody and completely fall off the face of the earth. They're not trying to Michigan this. So what I'm hoping is that the added depth at receiver plus a very strong quarterback in Luke Nickel coming from Georgia, from a high school in Georgia, Milton, not from the University of Georgia. But being able to reload with your 25 class is only going to set up the future of the U. And I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. Not only the tail end of this year for Miami, but also for the foreseeable future. Another headline coming out of Heritage Plantation that basically I wanted to just make sure their star quarterback, Diabell, is not also reclassing to the class of 25. He is still staying in the class of 26. He will still be going because Dia, like I said, is a quarterback commit to the University of Texas. He will be early enrolling for spring ball of 2026. He is not going up that much earlier. He's going up the normal time. Just I thought so, just wanted to make sure. And before that headline broke, I wanted to make sure that we were on top of it. But I want to keep talking about the Canes today, Steven. You know, I'm a Canes fan, so we're going to keep talking about those Canes. Today, schedule really worked out in my favor. Was able to hop on a Zoom call following Canes practice today with some of their stars, Xavier Shreppo and Cam Ward. We just got to talk some ball after practice. At the end of the game last week against Ball State, despite a 62-0 blowout against Ball State. You would think that was a pretty good outing. You would think that's another good day in the office for the 3-0 Red Hot Canes. 750 total offensive yards, 350 in the air from Cam Ward. Cam Ward got on the presser and said, "We're not even playing our best football right now." How in the hell are you putting up 750 yards of total offense and not playing your best football? So that's a question that I asked today. Basically, I was just like, all right, if y'all aren't playing your best football last week, how are you going to improve? And basically, Cam Ward came and said they just need to stay on schedule, do things the right way, and offensively in the pass game, they cleaned up their pass game against Ball State. The more that they stay doing the little things, it will help us out against a very talented USF team. So when I took that, you could either take it two ways. You could either take it as he just coach talked the hell out of us, which is what my good friend Robbie initially thought. Y'all know him. You might love him. I can understand why you don't. But Robbie was like, yeah, he just coach talked to you guys. But it could also just show the attention to details surrounding the program because, great, we blew out Florida, we blew out FAMU, and we sent Ball State back to the Stone Ages. They could start feeling themselves. They could start thinking, oh, hey, let's start buying into the hype. Maybe we are going to the Natty. Maybe we are going to win the ACC for the first time since joining the conference in 2000. Friendly reminder that I still have not gotten to see a truly successful Miami football Hurricanes season throughout my lifetime. But what I'm seeing out of this is the humble mindset and the attention to detail surrounding the program, and that's gonna make this team better. Maybe they don't put 62 points up against USF on Saturday. I would love to see it. I'm hoping to be at that game. I'm still pending a media credential. But just attention to the details and making sure that you're in your right mindset is what's going to set this team apart. And then something that I noticed while breaking down Kane's film over the past couple games is the unselfishness of their receiver core. A lot of times, and I'm sorry, but I'm going to point fingers at every high school receiver right now. Y'all don't like to block. Y'all do not like to get your hands dirty. You do not like to put somebody in the ground and pancake. You guys don't like to do it. Y'all think you are better than that. That is definitely not what happens at the U. Every time you see a Canes receiver or a Canes ball carrier with the ball in his hand, there is 3-4 dudes blocking for him. And they're usually receivers blocking for him. Not because guess what? Those big guys on the line, they can't get as fast as you guys. I don't know if y'all are that good with physics, but so something that I asked X today was like just talking about the unselfishness of this team, and if you see guy with ball, you block for guy with ball. And he said that's what makes our team that much better from the rest of the country. The unselfishness on the perimeter, which is outside. I don't know how much y'all paid attention in second grade, but unselfishness on the perimeter. We have meetings with the running back room, and we talk about how in pass protection, we want the backs to make sure that you're blocking the linebackers, blocking the edge rushers, so we as receivers can get open. It would be wrong if we didn't do the same for them in the run game. So what that shows to me is the symbiosis between both programs, or both rooms of you guys make sure that Cam doesn't get his head taken off by an edge rusher, and then gives us time to get open and get us in the end zone. And us as receivers, if you have the ball, we're going to, like I said, put somebody in the dirt and pancake. At I'm bringing this whole segment up as once again as a PSA for young receivers. Don't be scared to block. It's okay. Yep, like it's not beneath you. End of the day, you can have a direct impact on a 2 yard gain going for 10. So that's why I'm bringing this up, not because I'm a Canes homer or anything like that. I kind of try to leave the college segments to Robbie's show, stick this one just to high school, but I did want to bring this up because I do believe that it directly correlates into your development, and colleges notice that. If you put a bunch of run blocking film on your on your huddle tape, colleges are going to notice that. So that's another thing, and I'm going to try to do a segment in the next couple of weeks of helping you guys develop your huddle film. The last segment I do want to talk about a little is, and Stephen, if you want to jump on a little, I'm down. I do want to talk FSU ball, and I do want to talk the Cal game because I don't know what FSU is doing. I'm once again not bringing this up to talk college ball. For those that don't know, Palm Beach County has 5 true freshmen on their team. Palm Beach County has 5 true freshmen on Florida State's team. Right now, Florida State is 0-3. I don't know if anybody hasn't watched college football, but it is a bad year to be a Florida State Seminole. I don't know what's going on, and people aren't showing up like Steven's pulling up SeatGeek, but right now their defensive unit, I don't know what they're doing, and this is my PSA, and this is me just using a platform to strongly suggest maybe we should start, or maybe y'all should start playing the freshmen, because having a guy like Amari Williams sitting on your bench, Amari Williams was the number one rated athlete on in the country last year. He's a 4-star edge rusher slash tight end. You have that dude sitting on the bench while you were creating no pressure in the backfield. Like I can first-handedly say that dude's a game wrecker. You want Amari Williams on the field. I don't understand that. Jaden Parrish, guess what? FSU linebacker core is not playing good at all. Those dudes are playing like they have cement blocks tied around their feet. Put Jaden Parrish in. Corners are getting cooked left and right. I saw Memphis bombing Florida State. In what world should a G5 program be consistently bombing a Power 4 program who had potential to be in the college football playoff last year? On paper, that doesn't make sense. So my thing is get Ricky in. Get Ricky Knight in. This is not a premeditated thing of like if somebody from FSU sees this is not something where I was talking to the guys or anything and I decided to do this. Like they don't know that this segment is happening. I'm just a firm believer of y'all got to do something to change it. Maybe playing with squirt guns and listening to Beam Ah in the middle of practice and having DJU running all over very slowly, because that's what I saw out of practice today on Twitter. Get the young guys in, and I'm going to keep advocating for the guys that I personally have a connection with. I've said multiple times Brock Glenn needs to be under center. Luke Chromahook needs to be under center. They need to make a change at quarterback. DJU is not going to win you a football game. He's only going to lose you football games, and the Memphis game, the Georgia Tech game, and the Boston College game proved it. So once again, not a premeditated segment. They don't know that I'm talking about this. So please don't make them do like bear crawls or anything and like run them out the building, because then that makes me feel terrible about myself. But get your true freshmen in, because I wouldn't blame anybody for hitting the portal at the end of the year if things keep going the way that they go. Well, that's my little FSU segment. Talked a bit about Palm Beach County, what y'all can expect game wise. It's time for the coverage schedule. That means you know that everything is winding down here on New Era Prep nightly here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. The coverage schedule for this weekend includes myself and Miss Cass C2 Clayton will be covering Chaminade Madonna versus Miami Norland. I'm expecting a shootout out of this game, guys. You better not disappoint. I want 60 points being put up, Steven. I want so many touchdowns. I can make a 2-minute mixtape. And then Jensen Beach versus Benjamin. We are going to have Mr. Ryan Smith there alongside a plethora of other shooters whose names are escaping me right now. Pahokee versus Palm Beach Gardens will be headlined by Mr. Carson Hewitt. Cardinal Newman versus Clewiston, Miss Kiki Gagnon will be there. West Boca versus Treasure Coast, myself and the one and only Shot by Dan. Y'all know him, y'all love him, y'all love him a lot more than me, definitely more than Robbie. Me and Dan will be out there. The New Era Prep Game of the Week will be headlined by Miss C2 Cass Clayton Certified alongside her team, and Mr. Zach Royal and Jack Bartlett, and the one and only I Don't Speak Alex Muniz. We are sending the house to Welly River, if y'all didn't notice. Miami Central, American Heritage Plantation, Mr. Adam Flicks, Adam Sala will be out there. So make sure y'all tap in with him, because he is one of the best videographers I have ever had the privilege of being around. And Santa Lucia's versus Seminole Ridge, the one and only Miss Riley Moore will be out there. There you have it. That is the New Era Prep high school coverage schedule. Now, we have a big weekend of college ball coming here at New Era Prep. Adam, like I said, will be at FIU. FIU Monmouth this weekend. Mr. Adam Flicks will be there, so stay tuned with him, because he's going to put out some bangers. The kid, pictures, videos, the kid even writes. What doesn't that kid do? He reminds me of myself, except he's better. Kylie Gagnon will be heading on a little plane up to her great home state of Connecticut. I gave her a little bit of a homecoming trip. She's going out to FAU versus UConn. So guess what, Owls fans? We will still have coverage of the game. Jack Bartlett will be covering Kaiser's home opener against Fort Lauderdale. For those that don't remember, Kaiser 2023-24 season reigning NAIA national champions. Stay tuned for coverage of the number one NAIA program in the country. Myself and Miss C2 Certified, big weekend, me and her, should be at Miami versus USF. We are still waiting to hear back from the University of South Florida credentialing people. Hopefully they don't watch me roast the hell out of their program consistently. Steven may be awkward. And then finally, I Don't Speak Alex Muniz will be having a big doubleheader with Michigan State versus Boston College up in Boston. But before that game, he's going to Stetson versus Harvard. He's getting to watch a bunch of nerds play football and then going to watch a couple other sets of nerds play college football. So stay tuned for that, because he's got a doubleheader and he's going to go out and he's going to do his thing. But that is the New Era Prep college slate of the week. Wanted to bring that up because this is one of our bigger college weekends. As always, thank you everybody for tuning in to New Era Prep Nightly here on the Bleacher Brothers Sports Network. Big weekend ahead. Make sure you guys are tuning in to at Era Prep on Twitter. That's where you're going to see the overwhelming majority of the coverage. Instagram, New Era Prep. Instagram, Christian Proscia Photography, because I'm going to plug myself, as always. And I made sure to plug everybody else, so had to give myself a little bit of a shout out. Go follow my other shooters, not me. And then for all written content, make sure you're going to neweraprep.org. And then, as always, tune into at Bleacher Brother on Instagram or on Twitter, and Bleacher Brothers on Instagram, and bleacherbrothers.com. Thank you everybody for tuning in to another great episode. Didn't go as short as I thought it would. Time flies when you're having fun. But for New Era Prep, Bleacher Brothers, and my co-host producer Stephen Luker, I'm Christian Proscia. Hope y'all have a great night and a good weekend. Have a good one.